First contact fallacy. The Kazan Empire had conquered 17 worlds across 3 star systems before they discovered Earth. Their species had evolved in the harsh electromagnetic storms of their homeworld, developing both natural resistance to radiation and an innate ability to manipulate electronic fields. This biological advantage had propelled them to technological supremacy in their region of space, and with it came the absolute certainty of their own superiority. Commander Vrax stood on the observation deck of the Imperial destroyer Domination, his scaled skin gleaming under the ambient light as he studied the blue-green planet rotating slowly on the main display. Earth. Such an unimaginative name for a world, he thought. The creatures who inhabited it called themselves humans, and according to the preliminary reports, they were soft, fragile beings with embarrassingly short lifespans and no natural defenses. Supreme Commander, Science Officer Zell approached with a data tablet, her movements precise and efficient. I've completed the assessment of the primitive species. They're even less impressive than our initial scan suggested. Vrax's mouth ridges twitched in what passed for amusement among the Kazan. Elaborate. Their bodies are primarily water. They have no exoskeleton, no redundant organs, and their neural systems are painfully simple. They require constant rest cycles, and their reproduction process is inefficient. They've barely managed to colonize their own moon, let alone venture farther into space. And their weapons? Vrax asked, more out of procedure than genuine concern. Primitive. Nuclear fission primarily, with some fusion capabilities. Their electronic systems are rudimentary. They still use silicon-based computing. Zell's voice contained the subtle harmonic that indicated disdain in their language. Most curious is their obsession with entertainment. A significant portion of their global data network is dedicated to fictional scenarios and social posturing. Vrax turned from the view screen, his decision already made. This will hardly qualify as a conquest. Prepare a small strike force. No need to waste resources on such an insignificant world. Sir, Zell questioned. Standard protocol calls for a full invasion fleet. Standard protocol is for species worthy of our full attention. Vrax countered. This will be nothing more than a training exercise for our junior officers. Will be done before the next solar rotation. The bridge crew exchanged satisfied glances. The addition of another resource-rich world to the Empire with minimal effort would earn them all commendations, perhaps even genetic modification rights for their future offspring. Prepare the diplomatic channel, Vrax ordered. Let's inform these humans of their impending status upgrade to Imperial subjects. On Earth, Dr. Eleanor Chen was in the middle of explaining quantum entanglement to her graduate students when the university's emergency alert system blared through the speakers. Moments later, every screen in the lecture hall, along with every personal device, television, and digital billboard across the planet, displayed the same message. A creature that looked like a cross between a crocodile and a mantis stared out from the screens, speaking in heavily accented but grammatically perfect English. Primitive beings of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Vrax of the Kazan Empire. Your planet has been selected for inclusion in our glorious domain. Resistance is unnecessary and will result in your extinction. You have 1 Earth hour to surrender your governing authorities to our control. This is not a negotiation. This is your evolution. The transmission ended, leaving a stunned silence in the lecture hall. Then, a student in the back row raised his hand. Dr. Chen, is this a prank, or should we be, panicking right now? Eleanor looked at her phone, already filling with notifications from government contacts, a result of her previous work with DARPA on emerging technologies. Class dismissed, she said calmly. Go home, contact your families, and follow emergency protocols. This is not a drill. As her students filed out, some in shock, others already frantically making calls, Eleanor opened a secure communication channel on her device. The message was simple: Phoenix Protocol active. I'm on my way. Commander Vrax was puzzled by the human response, or rather, the lack thereof. The deadline had passed, and there had been no official communication from Earth's leaders. No pleas for mercy, no desperate attempts at negotiation, not even formal surrender. Perhaps they don't understand the concept of deadlines, he mused to his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Krell. Or they're too primitive to organize a unified response, Krell suggested. Their global communication seems to be fragmented among multiple governing bodies. No matter, Vrax said dismissively. Launch the first wave. Target their military installations and governmental centers. Standard subjugation pattern. The Kazon ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, their advanced cloaking technology making them invisible to conventional radar. However, as they approached their targets, something unexpected happened. Warning indicators flashed across Kazon control panels. Commander. The tactical officer's voice was sharp with alarm. Our targeting systems are malfunctioning. They're being redirected. Impossible. Vrax snapped. Human technology cannot interface with our systems. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Somehow, the primitive beings had found a way to infiltrate the Kazon ship's navigation protocols. Instead of strategic military targets, the ships were now locked onto uninhabited areas. Deserts, oceans, empty plains. Override manually. Vrax ordered. Before the pilots could comply, a second wave of anomalies struck. The Kazon's communication network collapsed, followed by cascading failures in their propulsion systems. Ships began dropping from the sky, not crashing but making controlled, forced landings in the predetermined empty zones. What is happening? Vrax demanded, watching in horror as his perfect invasion disintegrated before it had even begun. On his command screen, a message appeared, written in flawless Kazon script. Perhaps you should have sent your full fleet after all. In a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Eleanor Chen stood before a wall of screens displaying the status of every Kazon vessel, now grounded on Earth. Around her, a team of international experts worked feverishly at control stations. Phase 1 complete, she announced. All 73 Kazon ships have been successfully commandeered and grounded at the designated containment sites. General Williams of the United Defense Coalition nodded in approval. How long do we have before they bypass our control? They won't, Eleanor stated with confidence. The moment they entered our atmosphere, their systems were infected with the Phoenix Protocol's adaptive algorithms. It's not just controlling their ships, it's rewriting their core programming faster than they can detect, let alone counter. And you developed this. How long ago? Asked the Chinese military representative, his expression a mixture of awe and suspicion. We didn't develop it for aliens specifically, Eleanor explained. Phoenix was designed as the ultimate cyber defense system against any unknown technological threats. We've been building and refining it globally since the 2030 cyber wars. Every nation has contributed to its evolution. And now we're using an alien invasion as its first real field test, the Russian delegate said with a grim smile. Poetic. General Williams squared his shoulders. What's next, Dr. Chen? We have them grounded, but they're still armed and dangerous. Eleanor turned to the Central Command Console. Now we show Commander Vrax exactly how primitive we really are. The 5-minute war. Commander Vrax had never experienced failure. It wasn't just that failure was unacceptable in Kazon culture. It was that his perfect service record had made the very concept seem theoretical rather than possible. Yet here he was, stranded in a desert on a backwater planet, watching his invasion force reduced to 73 very expensive paperweights. Report, he demanded as his officers gathered in the ship's emergency command center, their primary bridge systems still inoperative. The humans have somehow integrated their code with our systems at the quantum level, explained Chief Engineer Moxel, his usual confidence replaced by bewildered frustration. Every time we isolate and remove it, it reappears in a different form. It's learning. That's impossible, Vrax insisted. Their technology is centuries behind ours. With respect, Commander, said Science Officer Zell, I believe we may have Miscalculated. Before Vrax could respond, the ship's emergency screens activated without command. A human female appeared, her features calm and composed. "Commander Vrax," she said in perfect Kazan, even matching the subtle harmonics that conveyed respect without submission. "I am Dr. Eleanor Chen, representing Earth's United Defense Coalition. Your invasion has failed. Your ships are under our control. Your weapons systems have been neutralized. Your communications are limited to this channel, which we have established." Vrax snarled, his pride wounded more than his ambition. "This temporary setback changes nothing. The Kazan Empire spans star systems. When we fail to report, they will send a fleet that will turn your world to ash." The human's expression didn't change. "No, they won't, because you're going to contact them and tell them that Earth is not to be approached by any Kazan vessel again." Laughter erupted from the Kazan officers. It was a harsh, clicking sound that echoed through the emergency command center. "You are either very brave or very stupid," Vrax said. "Why would I do that?" "Because," Dr. Chen replied calmly, "in the 5 minutes since your ships entered our atmosphere, we haven't just disabled your invasion force. We've mapped your entire neural network, decoded your language, analyzed your technology, and identified exactly 47 critical vulnerabilities in your supposedly superior biology." She paused, allowing the implications to sink in. "For instance, your species' ability to manipulate electronic fields comes from specialized organs near your brain stem. These organs are sensitive to certain frequencies that we can now generate with precision. One transmission at the right frequency, and every Kazan within range would experience what you would call a terminal neural cascade." Vrax felt a chill run through his body. "You're bluffing." In response, every Kazan in the room suddenly felt a mild tingling sensation at the base of their skulls. Uncomfortable, but not painful. A warning. That was approximately 1% of the intensity required for permanent damage. Dr. Chen explained. "Consider it a demonstration." A commander's mind raced. How had these humans, these supposedly primitive beings, turned the tables so completely in mere minutes? "What do you want?" he finally asked, the question burning his pride like acid. "First, you will transmit a full report to your empire, explaining that Earth is to be classified as a prohibited zone, too dangerous to approach. Second, you will share your star charts and information about other spacefaring species. Third, you and your crew will remain as guests while we study your technology." "And if I refuse?" "There is no refusal, Commander. There are only consequences. You came here expecting to find easy prey. Instead, you found us." Her voice remained level, but there was steel beneath the calm. "We've spent thousands of years fighting each other, perfecting the art of war against ourselves. Did you really think we wouldn't be prepared for threats from beyond our world?" In the observation room adjacent to the communication center, General Williams watched Dr. Chen's negotiation with grudging admiration. "She's handling them perfectly," noted the British intelligence officer. "Firm but not threatening annihilation outright." "They did that to themselves the moment they underestimated us," Williams replied. "History is filled with technologically superior forces defeated by primitives who understood the battlefield better." On another screen, teams of scientists and engineers were already carefully disassembling components from the alien vessels, cataloging and analyzing every piece. "How long before we can adapt their FTL technology for our own ships?" asked the Japanese representative. "Dr. Takahashi estimates 3 years for a working prototype," Williams answered. "But their energy generation systems could revolutionize our power grid within months." "And the Kazan themselves?" Williams glanced at the psychological profile, being compiled real-time as the aliens' reactions were analyzed. "They respect strength and technological superiority above all else. Now that we've demonstrated both, they'll comply. Their entire worldview has been shattered today. 3 days after the failed invasion, what human media had already dubbed the 5-minute war, Vrax sat in his quarters, now effectively a comfortable prison cell. He had done as the humans demanded, sending the message to the Empire with all the required warnings about Earth's dangerous and unpredictable inhabitants. Science Officer Zell had been granted permission to enter his quarters to deliver the latest update. "The humans are extraordinary, Commander," she said without preamble. "They've already reverse-engineered our communications array. At this rate, they'll understand our propulsion systems within weeks." "They defeated us in minutes, Zell," Vrax replied bitterly. "Did you expect them to be slow learners as well?" "No, it's more than that." For the first time in her career, Zell sounded genuinely excited rather than merely efficient. Their approach to science is chaotic, intuitive. They make conceptual leaps that no Kazan would consider. They collaborate despite their differences. They innovate. Vrax looked up sharply. "You admire them." "I study them. That's my function." But there was no denying the harmonic in her voice. "Did you know they developed their quantum communication systems without ever developing the technologies we considered prerequisites? They simply skipped steps we thought were necessary." The commander turned away, unable to bear his officers' fascination with their captors. "They're still inferior, physically weak, short-lived. Perhaps that's why they're so adaptable," Zell suggested. "When your species lives only a century, you learn to make the most of every moment. When your body is fragile, you build better tools. When your world has thousands of competing cultures, you either learn to cooperate or perish." A notification chimed, and Zell checked her permitted datapad. "The humans have called for another meeting. They want to discuss potential diplomatic relations with the broader galactic community." Vrax's mouth ridges twisted in what was now a grimace rather than amusement. "Diplomatic relations. They've been space-capable for barely half a century." "Yes," Zell agreed, "and in 5 minutes, they defeated an empire that has existed for millennia. Perhaps diplomacy is wiser than dismissing them again." As they were escorted to the meeting room, Vrax caught a glimpse through a window of human children being given a tour of one of the captured ships, their faces alive with wonder and curiosity. One small female human noticed him watching and waved enthusiastically, showing no fear of his alien appearance. In that moment, Commander Vrax understood with perfect clarity why his invasion had failed. It wasn't just the humans' unexpected technological capabilities or their adaptive strategies. It was something far more fundamental, something the Kazan Empire had lost centuries ago in their quest for perfection. The capacity to wonder. The drive to understand the unknown rather than simply conquer it. The ability to see potential enemies as potential allies. As Dr. Chen welcomed them to the diplomatic briefing with the same calm confidence she had shown from the beginning, Vrax realized that the 5-minute war had changed more than Earth's place in the galaxy. It had changed the galaxy itself. News would spread. Other species would learn that on a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable star, there lived a species that could defeat the Kazan Empire in less time than it took to prepare a ceremonial meal. They would come, not to conquer, but to meet these humans, to learn from them, perhaps even to fear them. And the humans, with their insatiable curiosity and boundless adaptability, would be ready.